Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Charles Lugassy from Radio Shalom, Montreal, and we are going to talk today about Yom HaShoah. Today is going to be because we went on Monday during the Yom HaShoah. There were many different manifestations throughout the city and throughout the world, and one of them was at the Synagogue Tiferet Bet David, Jerusalem in Côte Saint-Luc, where there were some survivors of the Holocaust present. And we have today the privilege of having Mushia Schwartz. She is one of them. And good morning, Mrs. Schwartz.
Good morning.
I would like to know, first of all, how and what happened to you during those terrible days, and let's summarize what is your story exactly.
Well, summarize is a very brutal word. However, I'll try to conform to it. I survived the war under an assumed name, which means false documents, false Christian documents, which were provided by my father in the ghetto after my mother was taken away in a raid. And my father expected more or less the same fate, didn't want me to be alone and in the ghetto, and assumed that with my qualities being blonde hair, blue eyes, and impeccable Polish accent, that I could survive as a Christian. So I was given a Christian birth certificate, and with this I went off into the unknown. I mean, the unknown unfolded day by day. I was working as a mother's helper, or I was 12 years old, so it wasn't much of a maid. However, I tried. And that is how I survived the war. In Warsaw, after one place going to another, whenever the place would become too hot, so to speak, in quotes, when somebody would give me too many looks, and the grocery store would talk about Jews on fake documents and sort of pretending that they're Christians, I knew that the area is becoming hot and you have to move to another area. And, well, in this kind of a running, hiding, lying, surviving manner, I'm here.
And the way I understand is that thanks to some non-Jews that you were saved. Is that correct?
No. It had nothing to do with either Jews or non-Jews. Nobody saved me. It sounds very immodest, but I saved myself by sort of having the wits about me. For a 12-year-old one, it surprises me. But I did. And I ran when I had to run. I stayed when I had to stay. I pretended when I had to pretend, and somehow I was successful. A bit of luck, too. I guess, as I said, the qualities were there because I was brought up in Polish and not Jewish, and I had a very Polish upbringing. I knew the customs. I knew I could fit in without sticking out like a sore thumb.
So the way I understand it is, though, since you were not brought up as a Jew and you were brought up more as a Polish, because right. you went to know their customs and habits and whatnot.
Right.
So that way you could go through in their society and mingle through with them and appear as one of them.
With a great deal of caution and fear, but I did. I mean, the proof is here. I'm here.
Definitely.
However, there was no assistance from anyone. The assistance was the love I was given by my parents, the faith in me, the kind of full confidence that I was someone who could manage, who could do the best foot forward. I mean, I was brought up with a great deal of love and good faith. I guess that was the only assistance.
Surely, but there is another aspect, is that you must have been a very bright young child, because at that age, not every children can maneuver and go through these difficult times the way you went? Because you must have been quite bright in order to avoid all these people around you that were seeking to hunt the Jews.
I must have been a bright child, but don't underestimate the will to live, especially in a kid. I mean, the idea of not affirmative. I mean, I'm not the same person today, and obviously the Holocaust has left marks on anybody. The losses are irreversible, but nevertheless, I had the capacity for affirmation, taking on another lease in life. I have a family. I have two beautiful children, a husband, a profession. I was a professor here in Montreal at the university. So I somehow survived not only in body, but I survived in spirit as well. So I must have been a bright kid.
One way people would like to know, how did one day at that time looked like? Can you with your memory and memorize one simple day, how you went through one day? Where did you sleep? Where did you eat? What did you do at those days in order to escape all this savagery?
Well, I was lucky, as I said, with the qualities I have that I could fit in. I was working in Christian homes where most of the time there was no suspicion. If I saw there was suspicion, I would beat it and get out of the place. But there was no abuse. I was sleeping in the kitchen like most of the servants do. I was given food, which was like a new thing after the ghetto, where we were hungry. I was starving most of the time, not that it bothered me. Now, when there were days, certain days, which were not a good model, because there would be a day that somebody would come in, let's say the Navy policeman, so to speak, the Polish policeman would come in on some other issue. But the minute he walked through the door, I was sure he came for me. So this is a fear that you live with daily. If anybody gives me a second look today, I think he's attracted to me. He thinks I'm good looking. But if anybody gave me a second look then, it meant possible
deportation. Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you went through a very how would I say, dangerous or difficult time at one point at all, or was it?
Yes. There were many dangerous days, but obviously I cannot just begin to describe them. It takes volumes, or not at all, either silence or volumes. Of course, there were dangerous days. There were days which I always thought it was my last minute, but somehow I don't know what was on my side. Luck, the Lord, I don't know, my father praying for me wherever he was.
And once you went out of all this, what did you say to yourself? Did you say there is a God that saved me, or did you say there was no God to protect us and we went through hell? Which way did you react?
If you want to know the honest, real, the truth, I don't think that I said either thing. I think that when the thing was over, and there was no anticlimax, I don't remember ever being, as they say, liberated. I just remember that I drifted. When the war was over, there was about, close to a year of time that I had suffered from almost total amnesia. I had no energy. I had no will to survive. At that point, I could be just flipped like a fly and killed, because I had no stamina. Surviving was an active thing for me when the war was on. Once this job was finished, I was just like a balloon that the air went out. So I don't even recall, but God was the last thing on my mind. I didn't even know where my next piece of bread for breakfast was coming. I was just drifting. Probably was a hobo. I don't know.
Did you come closer to religion or further?
No, well, it's very difficult for me to even talk about my religion today, because I couldn't call myself my atheist, because when in real sort of, not necessarily trouble, but in some quandary and in some problematic crisis, I am talking to some metaphoric, creative being, whoever he is, and I say, hey, that's not fair. You know, so the atheist doesn't do that because he knows there's nihil, nada, nothing. No, I am not like that. I don't believe in afterlife, yet I talk to my father. I mean, you know, so that my sense of religion is I need some sort of I don't know whether I need, but I have a sense of belief, affirmation, believe in life. Life is sacred. And that's all I can say.
How did you raise your family? Jewish? Not Jewish?
Yes.
Jewish.
Absolutely Jewish. The sense of nationality or sense of belonging has nothing to do for me with religion.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
My children are very Jewish.
Everyone is Jewish with a name like this. But one thing I asked you at the beginning, I said, do you think that the Christians where you were working saved you or helped you or something? They must have had some doubts at one point or something when they looked at you.
That would have sold me down the river in 2 minutes.
Oh, they would, huh?
Yes.
They would. So
I'm not condemning, obviously, all Christians, but the ones where I worked, it was absolutely out of the question.
So you felt that there was a extremely high level of anti-Semitism amongst Polish people.
Yeah, there was this and there was that. I mean, I could name you any 24 hours which would contain contradictions. That one person would be ready to shoot you, and the other one came and saved you, and both of them were Christian Poles. So I always hesitate before I condemn a group or a nation. I only deal with the individual, and there were some very fine individuals that I met, not necessarily that they loved Jews, not were they ready to save me. I don't know. I never asked them. But I certainly met those who were gloating over the burning ghetto, and those were legion. So to say that the Poles are not the only anti-Semites, I don't think anybody likes Jews.
Mm-hmm. One other question that comes to the mind of most people is the following. While you were there at that time, you saw that people were taken to camps, and you knew that they were killed. Everyone amongst you people knew that they were taken by trains to camps, Auschwitz, Birkenau, Treblinka, and so on. Did you notice at one point that you could have made a little revolt or oppose these people, even though it would have cost the life?
Charles, what you're saying is fantasy. First of all, I was 11 years old, and I don't think I had much political or social concern. I had my mommy, my daddy, and my immediate surrounding. That's number one. Number two, I never saw people being deported or being... I was not in any active social life. Come on, I was a kid.
Oh. Yes, it wasn't up to you to see those things.
And when you go into the province of people who did know, the grown-ups and the smart grown-ups, and why they didn't do anything, that's a very loaded question. Whenever I go to university and I get that kind of question from students, this is something that you need, like, I don't know, a psychiatrist couldn't solve it either. But it's a very complex thing, and it is something that it's like explaining to a seeing man what it means to be blind. And you cannot. You can go so far, but you cannot truly explain it and make him share your experience.
Mushia Schwartz, I would like to thank you. We thank God for you being here today and telling us all this and giving us a lesson on life, because you just taught us an excellent lesson on life, how a young girl, 12 years old, survived these barbaric times that you went through. It's an amazing story. I thank you very much for taking the time to talk to Radio
That's
Shalom.
all right. Look, Primo Levi said he's looking for a reason why he survived. That's another one of those questions. Why? Why me? I mean, there's no reason. We all felt guilty for surviving. But he says that the only reason he survived, he thinks that he's a sensible reason, is fate wanted him to survive in order to tell the story. That this is his legacy, this is his duty to do it, to maybe enlighten people to what man can do to man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just listened to Mushia Schwartz. She survived the Holocaust, and she is with us here in Montreal nowadays. We wish her a good life, a long life, and all the best. Thank you for sharing with us all these good these memories.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Have a good day. Have a good day.
You as well.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye.